Atlas. There was a big event in astronomy recently. It's the Asteroid Land Collision Warning System in Chile, funded by NASA. An interstellar object was discovered while performing daily observations. Suddenly entered our solar system. The codename is Sunai Atlas. Its orbit and some of its characteristics don't look like a natural celestial object. So it has aroused the great attention of the astronomical community. So what is an interstellar object? All the celestial bodies in the solar system, whether it's a comet. Asteroids are great. Due to the attractive force of the sun, have circular or elliptical orbits. And if there is a celestial body, its orbit is open. Hyperbolic. That means he's going really fast. The attractive force of the sun can't hold him back. Such celestial bodies are not native to the solar system. They're called interstellar objects. You can think of it as an alien race. Requires high attention, and they're very rare. As of August 2025, humans have only confirmed 3 such premises. The first one is the famous Olympic Dream in 2017. The second is Borisov, discovered in 2019. And the third one is this Atlas, discovered on July 1st, 2025. Code 3A Atlas. 3I stands for the third interstellar objects. It was discovered by the Atlas Survey Telescope in Hawaii. And this time the Atlas object has attracted attention. Another reason is that Avileb, a professor of astronomy at Harvard University, thinks this triple Atlas may not be an ordinary celestial object, but an alien spacecraft disguised as a comet. It might not be surprising if this hypothesis was made by ordinary people, but it's rare for a major astronomer to propose. Because Avileb is by far the longest-serving astronomy professor at Harvard, and he's a member of SATI's Long Society Committee. We know that SATI is the search for extraterrestrials. So why would such an astronomy boss think Atlas might be an alien spacecraft? If he really is an alien spaceship, what danger would there be to us? Today we're going to talk about this object called Atlas. And for a long time, many people have said in the comment section that my voice is AI. So today we will change the style of chatting. This is my voice. The next time someone talks about my voice, just throw this video at him. At the supposed Kana known as 31 Atlas could actually be an alien craft. Mystery interstellar object that was spotted by astronomers last week. Oh no. There's a Harvard scientist who believes he has seen proof of alien life before, and he suspects this object may not actually be a comet. Bob also says that the object appears to be intellectually directed if it is alien. The world should prepare. Avileb's team published a paper on July 16th. The title is very fried. Is it called Interstellar Object 3 Atlas Alien Technology? It's an interesting paper. He was the first to assume that Atlas was not a natural celestial object. It is the technological product of an alien civilization. Then, under this assumption, verify whether the characteristics of Sanya Truss match. It's a bit of a reverse verification. It also says, if this hypothesis turns out to be correct, the consequences for humans are severe. We need to establish defense mechanisms early. That's not in parentheses. And while these mechanisms may or may not work, we're going to try. If this assumption turns out to be wrong, Then this exploratory nature also has scientific significance. The paper also says that 3 Atlas objects are extremely rare. It fits with the dark forest theory and the Fermi theory. The dark forest theory is explicitly mentioned in the paper. It also explains why the human search for extraterrestrial civilization is set. The reason why it has achieved nothing since its establishment in the 1980s. What Loeb is trying to say here is, because the scope of SAILI's current monitoring is still extremely limited, and not necessarily because we're listening to extraterrestrial civilizations using electromagnetic communication. There are also reasons such as electromagnetic wave attenuation. Then there is another possibility that alien civilizations actively sank. Signal camouflage will be performed. But considering that if there is life in the universe, then there must be a civilization like Earth that doesn't have the ability to disguise itself. It is impossible for every civilization to surpass the Earth. So why haven't we found any clues? This also shows that civilization and life must be scarce in the universe. That is, we do not deny the existence of life in the universe and even advanced civilizations. But not as much as we think. But the point of the paper is to give 6 anomalous characteristics of Sea Atlas. So today we will focus on analyzing these characteristics. First of all, the trajectory of Atlas entering the solar system is abnormal. And this is from spectroscopy and astrometry. His orbit is a hyperbolic curve. This is a key indicator for identifying alien objects in the solar system. A hyperbola is an open track. That means he's going really fast. Greater than the attractive force of the sun will only cross the solar system at one time. For example, the rose-red line in this diagram is a hyperbolic orbit. Orbital eccentricity greater than 1, the orbits of the other planets, including the orbits of asteroids and comets. The eccentricity is less than 1 or equal to 0 or 0. The orbit is a circle, and only like Silent, Borisov, Atlas, or Voyager 1 and 2, which were launched in the 1970s. Now these are hyperbolic trajectories. Only they can break free from the attractive forces of the stars. Go further. So if the female 1 and 2 were captured by an alien civilization one day, it will also be because of his abnormal hyperbolic trajectory. Any object with an eccentricity greater than 1 is sufficient to escape the attractive forces of the star. What is the eccentricity of Atlas? 16.2 is very high. This is the solar system object with the most extreme eccentricity observed so far. This means that Atlas's trajectory tends to be a straight line. This would also explain why he was able to travel to distant space, reach the solar system. So why should hyperbolic orbiting celestial bodies be particularly concerned? Because the solar system is 460 billion years old. It's pretty stable. All celestial bodies have their own orbits. Even periodic comets like Harriet. His eccentricity is also less than 1. It returns to Earth every 76 years. This suggests that its orbit is a very elliptical shape. The vast majority of comets come from short-period comets in the Cobourg belt, or the long-period comets of the Oort cloud. They enter the core of the solar system after being disturbed by the attractive forces of a planet or star. But this disturbance is usually not large enough for them to obtain escape velocity. So this hyperbolic kinetic energy, an object that can escape the attractive force of the sun, pays special attention. But it doesn't mean that objects in hyperbolic orbits are necessarily alien spacecraft. Which brings us to the second anomaly of the 3 Eoteras. He approaches the ecliptic plane with the first retrograde horn. What do you mean? The ecliptic is the plane where the Earth and the other planets orbit the solar system. You can think of the solar system as a big pie, because of the conservation of attractive force and angular momentum. Forming this large stalk, the rho angle is the angle between the orbital plane of the celestial body and the ecliptic plane. The range is 0 to 180 degrees. 0 degrees is the same plane as the Earth. On 80 degrees is completely retrograde. And what are the horns of Atlas? It's 175.11 degrees. Almost flew from the opposite direction of Huangdaoming. It didn't smash in diagonally like other comets. So he can pass multiple solar system planets at the intersection of their orbits. And pass the Earth. This is the most covert way to approach the solar system. We can imagine, in the future, if humans detect a planet suspected of being highly life-bearing in the aurora year, what to do may not be to take the initiative to contact, instead quietly launch a high-speed probe. Then this detector will enter in the most covert way, enter at high speed and leave at high speed. Just detect valid information. If Atlas were an alien probe, he's doing the same thing. The third anomalous feature of Atlas is that his orbit will approach the perihelion of the Sun. He's right behind the Sun as seen from the Earth at this time. It cannot be directly observed, and he happened to change his orbit here to intersect with more planets. That is to say, Atlas exhibits the same reverse Oberth maneuver as Oumuamua. The Oberth maneuver is when a spacecraft fires at the bottom of an attractive force well near a star or planet. You get more kinetic energy, will maximize the fuel efficiency of the spacecraft, and when a natural celestial body approaches the bottom of the star's attractive force, converting contrarian energy into kinetic energy also produces acceleration behavior. The reverse Oberth maneuver is slowing down at the bottom of the attractive force well. The goal is to change the trajectory so as to maximize the distance to Venus in one flight. Mars and Jupiter. So it's normal for natural celestial bodies to accelerate. Slowing down is abnormal, and Uranus is right behind the Sun as it reverses the deceleration. The deceleration process cannot be observed from Earth. Of course, you could also say it's a coincidence. The fourth anomaly of Atlas is his shape. According to the spectra of astronomical telescopes, Atlas is a teardrop-shaped object. Much like the previous Momo, objects of this shape are rare. Ordinary celestial bodies are either close to being round, either an oval or an irregular shape. Showing the perfect teardrop shape is suspicious. The fifth characteristic of Atlas is that he is unusually close to Venus, Mars and Jupiter. That is, he can get close to these stars in a single crossing, much closer than the orbits of natural celestial bodies. Random distribution to its, as you can see from this trajectory, after a car has entered the solar system. The first is that it is very close to Mars, almost intersect. Then make a change of track here. Invisible on Earth. So he can approach Venus. Then you can observe the Earth from a distance. Because the speed is reduced, and you can come very close to Jupiter. Don't underestimate these actions, because the range of motion of the planets in the solar system is very large. The odds are slim. Of course, the above orbits are calculated by astronomers through orbital mechanics and dynamics. So far, Atlas has not passed Mars. But if Atlas's purpose is to fly out of the solar system, then his future orbit will be the same as analyzed above. So Atlas's orbit is suspected of not being completely random. May have been deliberately adjusted by some attractive force. Then to verify this, the computer used by Avilab's team ran simulations. Millions of Atlas-like hyperbolic orbits are randomly generated. But the direction angle, if it's too close, the time is random. And then count how many orbits these objects have that could neutralize Venus in a single transit. Mars and Jupiter produce their closest encounter. The probability is only 0.05%. which is 100,000 random object. Only 5 will be like Atlas. The orbital path just passed by the vicinity of these 3 planets. So why these 4 planets? Because of the Earth? Mars and Venus are located precisely within the habitable zone of the solar system. Venus and Mars are at the edge of the habitable zone. And Jupiter is the largest planet in the solar system. The general theory holds that planets that can give birth to life usually have a large planet nearby. He is very important for protecting the birth of life on the main planet. So if the Atlas IV probe definitely observe the planets near the habitable zone and the largest planet. Humans will also make such preferences when detecting extraterrestrial galaxies. By August 2025, when Tianxiu's astronomical network had already started observing Atlas, and I found some pretty obvious hair around him. It is the rime formed by the volatile matter of the comet under the solar peak. Hubble's eyes are analyzed by brightness. Atlas was found to match the characteristics of a comet. But to determine whether it is a comet, spectroscopic analysis is also required. For example, using the James Webb Telescope to analyze whether there are gas emissions. On December 19, 2025, Atlas will be closest to Earth. At that time, astronomical telescopes will see Atlas more clearly. And why haven't we discovered interstellar objects before 2017? That doesn't mean they haven't been here. We just haven't seen it yet. Because before the deployment of a small land impact warning system in 2017, the detection sensitivity and coverage of human astronomical tracking system are not enough. It's hard to detect these low brightness, fast small celestial body. And thanks to advances in computers and AI, large-scale automated orbit calculation and machine screening of celestial bodies have only gradually matured in recent years. But even so, I believe that the number of these interstellar objects is still very limited. Like this time, Oumuamua published this paper. Obviously raises several questions about the idea that Atlas is an unnatural object. Although he did not assert that Avaris must be an alien spacecraft, but made it clear that his behavior was highly abnormal. He also proposed a threat and risk assessment method similar to the Earthquake Council scale. That is, if natural celestial bodies such as comets are rated as 0, then the technical characteristics exhibited by Atlas should be rated as level 10. This is an exaggeration. So his ideas were criticized by the astronomical community, embedding science fiction narratives into a serious scientific framework. But this controversy has also objectively prompted the international astronomical community to accelerate the improvement of the monitoring accuracy of interstellar celestial bodies. In his paper, Oumuamua also recommends maintaining a higher level of vigilance and monitoring priority for such interstellar objects, and develop corresponding coping mechanisms for extraterrestrial intelligent life. We call on the scientific community to maintain an open mind, empirical testing of technical hypotheses, instead of just sloppy processing with labels of natural celestial bodies. Although the latest observations confirm that Atlas has some of the characteristics of a comet, but here's the thing. Appearance should never be the point. His trajectory and underlying intentions should be what matters. Let's think about it. If an alien civilization sends a probe to another galaxy, they're not so stupid that they can't even disguise themselves. If the destination is not as civilized as they are, they disguise themselves so as not to interfere with the progress of civilization here. If the destination civilization is higher than theirs, it is wiser to disguise yourself. So just because he has a commission doesn't make him natural. His set of anomalous features, for example, the low retrograde angle is close to non-attractive force acceleration, reverse upward excitement, very low probability route, and those are the features we should look out for. You combine these low probability behaviors, you will find that Atlas is not natural. One more detail is that of the 3 celestial bodies discovered by humans so far, except that Borisov is relatively close to traditional comets, Almond and Atlas are both very rare elongations. And Io's silent length ratio is as high as 5:1 to 10:1. It is the most extreme elongation of any known solar system body, and it shows through the light curve. It has a very smooth surface, most likely a long, thin, flat, frisbee-shaped object. To know about asteroids in the universe, the comet aspect ratio is generally not more than 3.1, or close to a circle. It's either an ellipse. Objects with aspect ratios greater than 5.1 are extremely rare. Because of gravity, collision evolution would make all celestial bodies approach this shape. Is there such a coincidence? Humans discovered 3 weeks of celestial bodies. Both are in extremely rare shape. If the next interstellar object discovered is still this slender shape, that's a real problem. I don't know if you still remember the legendary lunar alien spacecraft many years ago. This is the strip. The appearance is very close. You should know that this legend first appeared more than 10 years ago. At that time, humans had not discovered any elongated interstellar objects. This photo of the suspected lunar spacecraft also appeared in NASA's photo library. Then it was smeared for some reason. According to the measurement, this is a cigar-shaped spaceship that's 3.3 kilometers long, and I thought it was incredible. The length of this atlas is estimated to be 5.6 kilometers. Is there any connection between the two? I'm going to do a lunar spaceship issue later. Let's explore. If Atlas really is an alien spaceship, I don't think these spacecraft came to the solar system to stay or make contact, but just to observe and record. Based on the flight principles of their spacecraft or an engineering need, you need a long strip. Camouflage is just an added effect. They came to the solar system at an extremely high speed. Walk at an extremely high speed. No need to stay. These alien probes are like mapping companies mapping vehicles. Just drive across city roads, and their goal is not to engage. It's about traveling across stars where life might exist, and record which galaxies have life and which don't, just like the map in the game. So I think these alien probes are mapping out life in the universe. The two driving forces that have always been intertwined in human exploration of the universe: romantic anticipation of extraterrestrial life and instinctive vigilance against its potential threats. So when the 3 Atlas streamed across the starry sky, we use observations and data to determine its properties. But also from a logical and human point of view. When I said that, it suddenly occurred to me, maybe we're thinking too much about extraterrestrial life, ignoring the forces of nature. Because there is a view that life on Earth may have been brought about by a comet carrying living matter. Because comets typically carry large amounts of organic material, and the thick layer of ice on its surface protects the organic matter inside from cosmic rays, until they hit a sighted planet and were released into the ocean. And also in 2004, the European Space Agency launched Rosetta. After a full 10 years of flying, finally landed on a comet codenamed 67P in 2014. Drilling through the borders here, discovered liver acid polycyclic formula and other essential substances for life. Therefore, the idea that comets can carry living matter was confirmed. So I'm going to make a point. This atlas may be a very large comet carrying life. He travels through the universe through the forces of nature, in search of suitable planets where life could have originated. And when he came to the solar system, some natural mechanism made him think that the Earth was not a suitable landing point, and he passed Mars and Venus in the habitable zone and found that the conditions were not suitable to accelerate its exit from the solar system. And the mechanism here may be the evolution mechanism of life in the universe that we have not yet discovered. A cosmic algorithm of life. It doesn't depend on intelligent civilization. It is the distribution mechanism of life that comes with the universe. This tree can be seeded by birds and insects. And life in the universe is seeded by comets. As for how he decides which planet is suitable for seeding life, it's a force of nature that surpasses all technology. It is also the source of life that we have been searching for and unable to understand. Or we can think of life as a tree that bears fruit. And that tree is the entire cosmic organism. We humans are nothing more than bacteria in the fruit. I don't have much understanding of the existence and appearance of big trees.